Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So I unmuted a couple of you just to get some feedback. So we are studying what the author seems to be introducing, the topic of Jiva. Analysis of the conscious being. And we came to the point of looking at what Atma is. Student asked the question, what is Atma? Atma kaha? Everybody able to hear me?
Yes.
So there, the last definition given for Atma is Satchidananda Swarupa. Yah Tishtati, that which is. And so we took some time to understand these words. Sat, Chit and Ananda. Our first appreciation was that I am a conscious being. And so there is something called consciousness. And we saw that consciousness is self-evident. Recognizing consciousness does not require any pramanam. It is because of consciousness that I am conscious of everything in this world. Conscious of things I know and things I don't know now, potentially knowable. Consciousness that is not replaceable despite all the thoughts I have. And this consciousness, while I objectify everything in this world, visualizing is objectification. I cannot objectify consciousness because I am consciousness. Just like my eyes cannot see itself, I, Atma, consciousness, cannot objectify consciousness, need not objectify consciousness. That is Chit. Then we saw we looked into whether I am subject to time. Consciousness is subject to time. Subject to time is an important concept because when I say I am mortal, which is a big problem for me, we are changing the language and saying mortality means begins in time, changes in time, and ends in time. So time becomes an important topic for anybody who looks into realities. So kala becomes important. In Sanskrit, one of the words for time is kala. You ask Krishna, who is you? Who are you? Krishna says, Kalo hyaham. I am time. Ha ha ha, he says. So look at this beautiful thing. So, okay, so we analyzed time and we said time cannot be understood unless the present is understood properly. And then we came to the conclusion that the present, the now, Eckhart Tolle says the power of now becomes very important for many people. So we said that now is the only thing that is there, and the past was now, the future will be now, and in deep sleep there is no time, there is no idea of time. So we say that somebody asked, Maheshji sent an email saying, can you explain the concept of time? So the Vedantic concept of time is that time is a concept. Okay? The Vedantic concept of time is that time is a concept. That's the first thing to appreciate. Time is a concept that depends on me. Depends on me, the I, the consciousness. Without me, there is no past, there is no present, there is no future, nothing. So a child doesn't understand past, present, future. For it, now is all that is there. Now. Correct? Carefully look at children. Now 1-year-old children who are not older than a year or year and a half. Now they live in the present moment. Really, if you ask me, they live in the present moment. They're not worried about what mom said so many days ago, weeks ago, and what the future. Of course, they don't know future, so they're not worried about the future. So, bindas, they are just living in the present. So, that present becomes important for us in Vedanta. And the present being the consciousness, present being the content of time. We say it is the content of time itself. Therefore, I is not subject to time. Time is subject to I, consciousness, but consciousness is not subject to time. I tell time goodbye every day in the night. I tell time, watch out, I'm going to destroy you. And then I go to sleep. And then I come back and say, Namaste, Namaste. Where were you? My breath was going away. Thank God you're awake. That's what time will say. So, Sat, that Chit, which is consciousness, invariable consciousness is Sat, not subject to time. Then, so now Krishna, I was talking about Krishna. He has a chakra. Sudarshan chakra. I don't even know how to translate that into English. Chakra. Sudarshan chakra. If all of us understand, that's good. You can leave it at that. He has chakra in his hand. The chakra does magic. The chakra went and killed Dushasana. And it seems it's a very powerful thing, powerful instrument. But what does the chakra symbolize? The chakra is constantly moving. It symbolizes change. The whole world is changing every minute. Every minute, everything is changing. Everything is changing. We saw Jagat. Jagat Jayati Gacchati. Jayate Gacchati iti Jagat. That which changes is the world. So this chakra represents change. Constant change. They say change is constant. But Krishna says change is not constant. The one in the middle of this chakra is me. I am the unchanging Atma, which is you, Arjuna. Recognize that. That is the symbolism of this chakra. Look at how beautiful it is. Can there be, this is the way our rishis have visualized all these things. The unchanging you is the one that sustains all this change. You are thinking the opposite. You are thinking this change. I am a victim of all this change. No, you are the one that sustains the whole thing. This symbolism there. Good. So, Sat is Chit. And Chit is Ananda. We got an appreciation that Ananda has to be understood in this context as Ananda. Any object in this world has a form. And therefore, that object is limited in space. Consciousness cannot be objectified. Yet there is space consciousness, there is time consciousness, there is object consciousness. And so this unobjectifiable consciousness is formless, cannot but be formless, and therefore must be limitless. Look at this logic. We will see more, but that's the logic here. That which has no form and that which exists, okay, both we have to add together. The horns of a rabbit don't exist. Therefore, it also doesn't have a form. But we are not talking about a non-existent, formless thing. We are talking about existent, self-existent consciousness, which has no form because it's not objectifiable, and therefore consciousness must be limitless. Must be. Still more analysis is left. But space is accessible to consciousness. The distant star is accessible to consciousness. Consciousness has to be limitless. So Ananda is Ananta. And then we saw that this Ananta, when I am wanting, I have a desire, I want something in this world to change. When I tell somebody, you should not be doing this, you should not study that, you should not be tampering with that, I am saying that what I see has to be changed. I want change. I become a wanter, a seeker of change. And until that change happens, I continue to be a seeker and there is a sought. So whenever there is a seeker-sought division, I say I am not happy with myself. I am not happy with the situation, which means I am not happy. So the seeker sought division. This wanting person wanted object division. This subject-object division prevents the manifestation of this limitlessness. And I cannot appreciate wholeness. Otherwise, there is no division and there is just wholeness, there is just limitlessness, and Ananda is my expression of the manifestation of this limitlessness. Okay, this much we saw. So this wholeness, can it be lost? You know, we are all used to protecting our possessions. Everything needs to be protected. These days we have gated communities. 30 years ago, I never heard the phrase gated community. So community gated, I live in a gated community, means I'm more secure, and there are security guards and watchmen, and he notes everybody who comes in, he notes the number of the vehicle, license plate number, everything he notes down, and in and out, everything he does. So we protect ourselves. Because things can get lost. Security can get lost. In a matter of a second, security can go away, just like that. This wholeness also, Swamiji, you're talking about limitlessness. Can it be lost? So, Ananda is Ananta. And we have to make a point that this Ananda is not bliss. We will talk a little bit about it later also. Many books translate it as bliss. And we can't do that, because if I say bliss, then we begin to imagine some experience. Something is going to happen to me. And we go on a different track. So then the question comes from the students, okay, I know I am bliss, but how can I experience bliss? That will become the question. So we say that every experience, even a blissful experience, if you have, even a non-blissful experience, I am still existing. I am the invariable consciousness. When I identify completely with that unpleasant experience, then I say I am sad, or I am unhappy, or I am agitated. But the fact remains the same, that I am the complete whole. So in waking state, I am the whole. In dream state, I am the whole. In deep sleep also, I am the whole. That wholeness always is. With individuality, I am the whole. When that individuality is not perceived in deep sleep, I am the whole. I forget all my problems, I am the whole. I recall all my problems, I continue to be the whole. So the sugar crystal which we put in our tea and coffee, all those crystals, asks, you have to put a human mind in the sugar crystal. Then only fun begins. And the sugar crystal says, it's all jumping up and down, and it says, oh, you're sweeter than, how come he likes you more? Sugar cube. That guy is a sugar cube. Sugar cube. I never saw a sugar cube until I went into this aircraft once. And they gave me something that looked white, and it's exactly 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. And I said, wow, ye to humne dekha nahi. What is this? And it was given, right? Coffee is also given. So I made a conclusion, inference. There inference happens. Oh, this must be sugar. Otherwise, this can't be salt. Because I see another packet which says salt. Another packet which says pepper. So sugar cube. And the sugar crystal says, the small little sugar crystal says, oh, you look so white. Ah, people love you so much. I don't think they love me so much. And when will I be sweet? This is the problem of the sugar crystal. When will I be sweet? When can I be as sweet as you? So some enlightened sugar crystal has to come and say, wait a minute, that sugar cube is also sweet. You, the puny looking sugar crystal, is also sweet. The sugar cube cannot be sweeter than you. You are not any sweeter than the sugar crystal, sugar cube. Like this, a big lecture has to happen. And the sugar crystal says, really? I am sweet? Yes, you are sweet. Your nature is sweetness. Look at everybody, they are using you. Without you, coffee doesn't exist. Without you, nobody takes chai. In fact, the problem is not whether you are sweet. The problem is everybody is putting so much of you in their tea. And whenever I put the tea in my mouth, I am choking. Because, I don't know, this cup size also is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller every year. Now it is just visible to my eyes. Next year, I don't know what will happen to the size of the cup. And there also they put 1 cup sugar. And sweetness is manifest. Wholeness is manifest. And so don't worry, you are sweetness. You need to know that you are sweet. Sugar crystal says, yeah, now I understand. How can I experience sweetness? Hey, you can't experience sweetness. In every experience of sweetness, you are there. You are sweetness. Your definition is sweetness. Sweetness cannot be removed from you, how much ever the chemists and the chemical engineers try. They cannot remove sweetness from you. Even God cannot remove sweetness from you. This kind of a lecture has to be given to this sugar crystal, which has a human mind. Remember, sugar crystal is okay. But the minute you put a human mind in the sugar crystal, then the crystal can have doubts. I am bitter. I am bitter. That's the problem of the sugar crystal. Tell me how to save this crystal. So therefore, we saw also that wholeness that we talked about, Ananta and Ananda, even without fulfilling a desire, I can be happy, which means none of my desires need to be actually fulfilled. It gives me a clue to my nature. If I claim that, hey, I have a big list of issues that I have to work on and my children are doing all these things, I can't handle this, I can't handle this, if I say, then how can I be happy with all these problems? This question has to be answered. That is number 1. I can be happy without fulfilling a desire. Number 2, if I say I have to satisfy all these desires to be happy, then how am I going to? I want so many people to be different. The husband wants the wife to be different. The wife wants the husband to be different. All life long, they are trying to change each other. You're not like this, you're not like this. I always tell you this, you don't listen to me. You are always like this, you don't know anything. And nobody can change you. That also acceptance comes. It's been 30 years and clock is ticking and you're still doing the same thing. So when I can't change another one human being in this world, I can't change. Where is the question of satisfying all my desires? One desire is always going to remain unfulfilled. This person doesn't change at all. And they come to Swamiji and say, Swamiji, she doesn't change at all. What should I do, Swamiji? And the wife immediately says, Swamiji, this guy is obnoxious. He is getting on my nerves. So where is the question? Where is the question of satisfying all our desires? Charity begins at home, they say. Problems also seem to begin at home only. So, but we saw that in every experience of Ananda, this desire to change, the desire to be different, either I should be different or the world should be different, that desire ceases to exist. Ceases completely. And so that happiness is unfortunately experiential. Experiential. Therefore, I'm constantly seeking similar experience. That's the only experience I know. And so I have no choice but to go on seeking those experiences in various ways. And so we are now talking about that cognitively I am not aware of the nature of myself. So the word cognitive, often we use that word. So just recognize that that word means by the faculty of understanding, faculty with which I recognize things, faculty with which I say, yes, I know something. Yes, I know you are the brother of that person. When I say, I know. So that's what we mean cognitively. When I say 2 plus 3 is 5, 2 plus 3 is 5 is not written anywhere. It is there here. That is cognitive. That understanding, if I say I have, then we say cognitively I know it. It is cognitively seen. So cognitively one has to see what is Atma. So that happens. We have those experiences. So somebody comes to Coimbatore. When I was new to Coimbatore, I was also amazed. The Nilgiri mountains are right there. You just have to drive a few kilometers. So all the mountain ranges start. And so somebody comes to Coimbatore and he just looks at all these mountains. He goes to the ashram. It's all going up mountains. The road, the bus is just going round and round, traveling up. You can see the bus. It's just not moving. It's making a lot of noise. Noise is increasing and the bus is not moving because of the incline. And he's looking all around and he says, wow, wow, wow. And he looks down and there is a waterfall there. And birds are chirping. Suddenly the bus stops. Elephants are crossing the road. And the sky is filled with joy. And suddenly he's sad. Why? Because he thought, I wish my children were also here to enjoy this. That's it. Over. All the joy that was there in the last 15 minutes, suddenly he became sad. What to do now? Tell me. So, very clear. And we've seen this, that even though it appears that this so-called Ananda comes from outside, It is not a property of any object in this world. Ananda, we looked into that, we saw that being in a particular place cannot make us happy, because this person became sad right in the midst of the so-called beautiful place, correct? Therefore, even that place, even those mountains are telling me, hey, I am helpless, I can't make you happy. The waterfall is telling us, hey, wait a minute, I am falling in front of you, look. Even now you're sad. Waterfall is helpless, can't make me happy. And I have to tell him, wait, let me get my children next trip, then I will be happy. So like this, life goes on. And so the whole has to be recognized. Whole plus any experience is whole. The whole minus any experience, minus the experience of these mountains and waterfalls and rivers and sunrise, minus that also whole remains the whole. Nobody can take anything away from wholeness. Nobody can add anything to this wholeness. This is what Krishna says in chapter 2 also. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham. Some of you may recognize it. Samudram apah pravishanti yadvat. Krishna is giving the example of this ocean. The ocean is full, up to the brim. And now lot of rivers are entering the ocean. They are falling and reaching the ocean. Is the ocean becoming fuller, bigger because of that? Krishna says no. The ocean doesn't become bigger. No change happens to the ocean because the ocean is so huge. Something coming into the ocean cannot, you can't say I poured a bucket of water into the ocean and so now there is a lot of water. No such thing is possible. And water is taken away from the ocean also. Ocean doesn't complain. No, nothing can happen to the ocean. He gives this as an example for the person. So he says, Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram apah pravishanti yadvat. Just like the rivers enter the ocean and doesn't bring about a change in the ocean. Tatvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sa shanti mapnoti na kama kami. He says this wise person who has recognized the self, Atma, is like this ocean, cannot be disturbed. No object can make him elated. No object can, taken away from the person, can make him depressed. This is the example he gives. And we chant another mantra every day. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. That is full. Purnamadaha Purnamidam. This is full. This means this I who is chanting this mantra. That is full. This is full. If you take the full from that, that will remain full. If you take the fullness from here, this will still remain full. That full came from this full. Like this, it goes on like this. So some Western guy came, looked at it and said, oh, this is some bunch of, used to prattle. Prattle means some childish statements they are making. And he wrote a big commentary and walked away. So it looks like childish prattle. This full came from that full and that full remains full. Even if the full is removed from this full remains the full. What is this? But now we are beginning to appreciate that the fullness of Atma cannot be changed. wholeness cannot be removed. So just an introduction to that Ananta, wholeness. And so, as we said, Ananda has to be looked at in this context as Ananta. In fact, here the author says Satchidananda. Elsewhere, the Taittiriya Upanishad talks about Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Like that, the statement is appearing in Taittiriya Upanishad. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman. Like that it goes. So Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So there the Upanishad uses the word Anantam. Ananta, limitless. That Brahma is of the nature of existence, is of the nature of consciousness or knowledge. There uses the word knowledge. And Ananta, Brahman is all pervasive. Everything is Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Therefore, we say this word Ananda is a Lakshana of Ananda. Word Lakshana is used in Shastra. Lakshana Vakyam or a Lakshana Shabda means a sentence or a word that reveals by implication. That shows you, that reveals to me by implication. Implication. So the meaning of that is everything we have seen so far. This so-called happiness or unhappiness is born of division, a perceived division, an experienced division. Correct? The division, subject-object division, the wanted-wanting division, experiencer-experienced division, which was not there, which was never there, is created. And that wanting person, when it is there, I can't see the wholeness. This wholeness doesn't make sense to me. That division makes it happen. And the cognitive appreciation of the wholeness is not there. And so I always have to wait for an experience. I must wait for an experience. I don't have a choice. We saw that before. So now the question is asked, why the word Ananda is used if the word Ananta is a better word? If Ananda should be looked at as Ananta, why the Shastram doesn't say directly Ananta? Why this roundabout way? See, in every experience of Ananda, it is limitless that is manifest. Limitless is manifest as Ananda experientially. So I recognize that Ananda first and foremost. So Ananda is something that is mentioned. Secondly, what I want is Ananda. Nobody says, I want to be the whole. What is your goal of life? We ask. I want to be everything in this world. Nobody says that. A simple person will say, hey, I want to be happy. That's all. It's a simple goal. Yeah, I think I have enough and I think I'm happy with what I have. And I hope I can be happy for the rest of my life. Simple. This is my simple goal of a simple person. Perfect. I want to be happy. That's all they say. Therefore, Ananda becomes important for all of us. And especially when the word Ananda is used along with Sat and Chit, then that Ananda has to be seen as Ananta. And that Ananta, that Sat and that Chit is called Swarupa. I am introducing a word, Swarupa. Swarupa what? Ananda is my Swarupa, is the nature of Atma. So we are trying to say there are two kinds of Ananda, if just for the sake of this discussion. One Ananda I already know, which comes and goes. My experience of happiness, my Anubhava. In Sanskrit there is a word called Anubhava, which means experience. The experience of happiness is called Anubhutananda. Anubhutananda. And then my nature, which is Ananda, is called Swarupananda. My Swarupa, which is Ananda, is sometimes referred to as Swarupananda. To distinguish it completely from an experiential happiness. Swarupananda versus Anubhutananda. What is the difference? Anubhuta, the Ananda of every experience, there is a vritti. We talked about a vritti long ago. Any thought form is called a vritti. Any thought I have, in Sanskrit the word they use is vritti. And then different vrittis create a different types of experiences for me, and some types of experiences I call happy experiences. Other experiences are unpleasant experiences, sad experiences, terrorizing experiences, frightful experiences, etc. So this Anubhutananda is a vritti vishesha. It is a quality of the vritti. It is as though it depends on the vritti in my mind. So every vritti, that experience is important. The experience of happiness is important for us to have this pursuit. Where does that happiness come from? The minute you ask the question, then nobody can stop you from asking that question. And if you say, I will not stop until I understand it, then the pursuit begins. So that happy experience is an important experience for this pursuit. But then that Anubhutananda is a manifestation of this Swarupananda, the very nature of Atma. The very nature of Atma is Ananda, and that is called Swarupananda. This is why many books translate this Ananda as bliss. What they say is this. You have had the experience of disco. Disco and rock music experience is there. You have had ice cream experience. And you have had other types of experiences. Alcohol experience is there. Children experience is there. Looking at the star experience is there. All these experiences are there. But that is not enough for you. You must have a very special experience. That is what, my dear, you have been lacking all along. I will teach you how to get that special experience. then that experience is called bliss. Okay, this is the way sometimes this subject is presented. And that special experience is called bliss. With an uppercase B, capital letter B you must write. Don't ever write it with a small lowercase. And so, Satchidananda is existence, knowledge, bliss. The minute they say that, what will happen is, now I have to wait for that experience to happen, correct? Now it's a waiting game. Great. Now at least thanks to you, I got to know that I must wait for this experience. And I'm waiting. And Guruji teaches so many different techniques. And meditation 1, meditation 2. Then you have to look at your tip of your nostrils. Then you must imagine the mountains. So many things are happening. Tell me now, how do you know that you got a particular type of experience? How can Guruji communicate to me that I must have a particular type of experience? When you see, then he will say, when you see a white light going from top to bottom, then you got it, my dear. Until then, keep on trying. You know, this, I put a white bulb in front of me. So, because after a long time I realized, people are not able to see my face also. So what is the use of having all these talks if nobody can see me properly? So I bought a table lamp and I put a nice little bulb, and so it is shining on my face. So it's shining constantly. So I should not look at it. And so at the end of the class, if I do like this, I see a lot of white lights going from top to bottom. It's all going. Guruji, I see a lot of lights. Am I enlightened? Did you see a nice streak of white light? Yes, I saw a nice streak of white light. Did it go from top to bottom or bottom to top? Guruji, it went from top to bottom, and after some time it went from bottom to top also. Some other Guruji says, hey, you must see a lot of sparkling white light. Then I tell him, every day after staring at this computer for 8 hours, 10 hours, and you go rub your eyes like this, I see all kinds of stars. I see stars just disappearing and appearing. It comes all the time. So what? Is that an experience or what? This is all bogus, and many people get trapped in this game. So our Shastram is very clear. Experience cannot be communicated. And you are welcome to have any type of experience. But nobody can say, I got the experience. Not possible. You're already there. Atma is there in every experience. We are trying to look at that Atma, understand that Atma. So again, the same Taittiriya Upanishad says, Brahmavid apnoti param. Brahmavid apnoti param. Param means limitless. And what limitless is this? Apnoti param. Apnoti means what? In Sanskrit, the word means gains. Gains. Okay. Something gains limitlessness. Something gains wholeness. Who is that? Brahmavit. Brahmavit. Brahmavit means it's a root which refers to knowing, which refers to knowledge, which refers to everything involved with knowing. Brahmavit means the knower of Brahma. The knower of Brahma. The knower of Brahma gains limitlessness. That is the literal translation of this sentence. Brahmavid apnoti param. In fact, that is how one of these Upanishads, one of the chapters begins. So, the knower of Brahman gains limitlessness, not the experiencer of Brahman. Understand? The question of experience doesn't arise at all here because Brahma is there in every experience. The only thing left is for you to understand that I am that Brahma. And that Brahma is what sustains all experiences. Experience is mithya, has to be understood. Correct? Experience is mithya. It is sustained by Atma. It is sustained by so many things. Like I have a tumbler here. And this tumbler is there, and there is also steel. And if you tell me this is tumbler, I will ask you to show me where is the tumbler. If you point to this, I say, hey, what you pointed to is steel. Where is tumbler? This also is tumbler. And if you say, I say, that is also steel. Every part of this is steel. Where is tumbler? But then we acknowledge that there is a particular form of steel which can contain some liquid. And therefore, that form of steel is what I call tumbler. So I have reduced the status of tumbler from something which exists by itself and has a big identity to something where the tumbler surrenders its identity to steel. And all the tumbler is name and form. The name called tumbler and the form which you recognize. So that recognition of steel, when it happens, then likewise the recognition of Atma has to happen. And that Atma, Satyam, Brahma, that Brahmavit, apnoti param. How can one gain limitlessness? How can one gain the whole? By effort, one cannot gain the whole. One can gain the whole only when one is already the whole. One can gain the whole only when one is already the whole. Please make a note. No effort can make a limited person to become unlimited. Not possible. Therefore, this gaining that the Shastram talks about happens by removal of ignorance. Brahmavit, one who knows Brahma. Good. And likewise, Narada, another beautiful story in Chandogya Upanishad. See, amazing. There are so many stories we have studied. Amar Chitra Katha and all, we were so mesmerized by these stories. And I had not read the story of Narada approaching Sanat Kumara. And Narada goes to Sanat Kumara and says, I'm sad. Tell me something. Tell me what is there to be known. Sanat Kumara says, you tell me what you know first. Then I will tell you what else is there to be known. So Narada opens his resume, curriculum vitae, and he says, I know Rig Veda, I know Yajurveda, I know Samaveda, Chaturtham Atharvanam api aham janami, I know the fourth Veda, Atharvana Veda also. Okay, good. What else do you know? I know Itihasa Purananam, Jnanam Asti Asmin. I have the knowledge of Itihasas and Puranas. Good. What else? I know all the Upavedas. I know all the Vedangas, Siksha, Vyakaranam. I know etymology. I know grammar, I know this, that, everything he quotes. Big list he gives. Very good. What else do you know? Kshatriya Vidya Janami. Kshatriya Vidya means knowledge of warfare, kingdoms, developing kingdoms and growth of kingdoms. I am an expert at it. What else? Kshatriya Vidya, you know. What else do you know? I know Nakshatra Vidya also. I know the signs of all celestial objects in the sky. So all stars, the signs of stars, I know. Like this, he gives a big list. Then he says, I am sad. Despite all this, I am sad, Narada says. Can you believe this? Can any of you believe that Narada can say I am sad? I became sad when I heard this. Because Narada is this happy-go-lucky guy going all over from one world to the other world and having fun with everybody. And Narada says, I'm sad. And this was very depressing to me. But Narada says, Aham shokam anubhavami mama shokam tarayatu. Please help me cross this ocean of sorrow. My God, this is way too much to handle. And he also says something. Atmavit shokam tarati iti janami. I've heard that Atmavit, one who knows Atma crosses sorrow. I've heard that. You please teach me. See, we've all heard all these statements. Because we are in that culture. That's the beauty of this culture. We've heard all these things. But there comes a time, like Narada got a time, that I know so much, but it's not helping me. Atmavit shokam tarati, he says. Chandogya Upanishad. Beautiful story. So every Upanishad is very interesting. These Upanishads have beautiful stories. Keno Upanishad, another beautiful story, where all these guys, Agni thinks Agni is I am great Agni, and I can do all kinds of stuff. And so, beautiful story. Maybe another time we can talk about it. So, Atmavit, Brahmavit, cognitively recognizing the nature of Atma is what is implied in all this. And so, that Swarupa, the Swarupa of Atma is to be understood. And that nature, that is what is implied here by Satchidananda. We will continue more next class, and next class we will also start. We will kind of temporarily conclude that discussion and move on to the remaining text. Sthula Shariram Ityadi will come. Okay. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Go Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Lokas Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Shobharahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।